Are we going? We're good? Let me see. Oh, yeah, that's the YouTube live stream I was telling you about. On this camera, this Mevo camera, when you go live, it'll be like, hey, we're not going to go live right now. We're going to delay this by about 8 minutes.
Oh, okay.
For what I think they want to have it on every 15 minutes.
What? What do you mean? For who? What?
YouTube.
What on every 15 minutes?
They want to have streaming stuff scheduled for every 15 minutes instead of starting whatever you want.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
No. But who cares?
I mean, does that make sense that it's a weird rule that YouTube has?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Because there could be like, it doesn't make sense because I don't make sense. I don't know. I'm sleep deprived. I'm dry drunk right now.
Yeah. Well, we're live, so.
It's fine. No, it's good. This is fine. This is good pod. We've got our friends of the program as guests. Dan Whalen coming back. He's going to have a podcast. You can let him hear your voice if you want. We do this little intro.
They're good when you talk.
Yeah.
The podcast.
Well, I was allowing him to finish his thought.
Sorry.
Providing the space necessary to maintain creativity.
Whoa. Someone is very zen. I just watched the Zen Diaries of Gary Shandling, so I feel like I prepared by watching that last night and crying a few times through it.
I really get that.
Yeah, did you watch it?
No, I get that from you, though. I get that vibe.
Yeah.
Gary Shandling enlightened.
Garden
Oh, they're going to say
weasel.
crybaby.
Oh, yeah, that too.
There's one of those in this house already.
Yeah, pretty much. And then
And it's not your son.
it's both of them, actually. It's both kids and me in the closet by myself in our walk-in closet.
Don't let them see you cry.
Sitting on a cooler. Yeah, oh no.
Rocking back and forth.
Or just yelling in a pillow.
The screaming pillow.
Yeah. I have to get a new pillow. I've yelled so much into it. Like a head football coach almost. Other friend of the program, Samantha Gant, welcome back.
Hello.
Social Alchemy. What's your slogan? Is there one? Do I have one for you?
I don't think so. We'll
I was
brainstorm that a little bit later.
I like to throw in people's slogans.
Yeah.
So what is it? s-alchemy.com.
Yes, that is
the
correct.
website. Find her. She is our go-to social media advisor, email marketer, digital consultant to the stars. Some would say a power digital consultant.
She's got my endorsement.
Yeah, and all of us has kind of worked together on stuff with Dan. What was that, about a year ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so good times, great oldies. Let's do our sponsor, because this show, it doesn't work. Well, it does. We do it for the people. We do it for the love of the game. But it's still tax time. April 17th is tax day. Did you know that? Did y'all know that?
Yeah, I thought it was 15th.
So it used to always be the 15th. Now it is the 17th because that probably falls on a business day, I'm going to guess.
Oh, they change it every year.
Well, I think if 15th falls on a Saturday, Sunday, it moves back to the 17th. So to a Monday.
Fun fact.
Yeah, that is sexy pod right there. Like, this is craft beer for
You're
your
reeling them
ears.
in right now.
But FreshBooks. Get FreshBooks. It only works if you use our link. We've had a lot of clients that say they've used our unique affiliate links, and that's how we get hooked up. It doesn't work if you just go to FreshBooks and then sign up. Plus, you don't get the hookup. Holler if you hear me, you know?
What if they think about us while they do it?
What do you mean?
Does that still not work?
They can think about us. What?
But they still have to use the link.
They still got to use the link. Go freshbooks.com/sweat. Like Key Sweat. Like Sweat Equity.
Key Sweat's got two T's.
Does it? No.
No,
it doesn't.
Googling it.
Google that shit for sure. Because then my whole 90s experience is kind of a sham.
Changes everything.
Grammatically, I don't get it. Why would he have 3 T's? Maybe the Holy Trinity, lowercase t's?
I only see one T.
Ooh, boy.
And I see an album cover that proves it.
That's a
Unless he misspelled his own
girthy
name.
claim.
I stand corrected.
Wow,
I
coming
stand
out
corrected.
the gate.
There it is.
First thing in the morning.
So go freshbooks.com/sweat. And that'll give you the hookup that gives our listeners a 30-day free trial. And I think a bunch of extra, you know how all these apps work. they got some extra add-ons that you might need for your business that's a little bit different. It's customizable, it's scalable, but I think you get the hookup throughout the whole account if you use our promo code gofreshbooks.com/sweat. See how you see it? You say it 3 times. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you told them, or tell them what you need to tell them, and then tell them what you already told them. That's the old marketing, public speaking thing. You ever heard of that?
Yeah. Are you supposed to do it back to back to back to back like that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, if you're doing a speech, you want to weave it in a little bit better, but I'm trying to jam it into about 40 seconds.
Mission not accomplished.
Nah, I'd say there's some eloquence for 40 seconds.
Not bad.
You're
For
limited.
me, not bad.
Yeah, that's true.
I can make that thing 40 minutes,
Yeah.
no problem. Okay, let's do a little bit of the practical stuff up front, practical advice stuff up front, and then we'll get into a little bit more of like, what are y'all up to? I found I got 2 things for y'all. Sam told me about one of them, which is you can now schedule Instagram posts, which isn't a big deal for anybody that doesn't handle social media accounts on a business or brand level. But for anybody that does, and that's, I think the majority of the listeners have done it at some point or had to do it or do it for a charity or whatever, that is huge because Instagram was a pain in the ass. Sam, you got anything on that? Have you been working with it?
Yeah, so it started with Buffer that came out with the scheduling. Previously, you were able to obviously like have the content there, but it would push to your device. And at the time, Instagram only allowed 5 accounts on one device. So you're sitting there with like 3 devices, logging in and out. It's really fun. But now Buffer started it, and everybody's following suit. So now you can stream it.
And
directly.
a lot of like, this podcast is to really kind of help anybody trying to do their own thing, and kind of being efficient with your time. Everybody that's trying to do their own thing pretty much has to do some kind of social media effort. Usually, everybody I talk to, at least, because it's free.
Well, it's the best way to get in front of your audience.
Yeah, and Instagram is so. It's starting to skew a little bit older. It's starting to be a little bit more legit on the back end for this kind of stuff where
it's doing what Facebook did like 6 years ago.
Yeah, or any of the other ones, right? Because you can use a social media management tool like Buffer. Hootsuite now has that option too. I think Co-Scheduler was another one we heard about. And the deal with that is just saving you time. If you're on your game, you set it up like you take an hour or 2 a week, and you set all these things up in advance so that you don't have to double back every day and go, oh, I didn't post something, So that's a little pragmatic thing. Other thing I found, unless you guys got more.
I want to know what the next thing is so I can be cool
Vero?
beyond,
Is it Vero? I don't even know what that is.
Vero.
Booger Web or some
Booger
stupid
Web?
name.
What about Wolf?
Booger Web?
I don't know. I don't name it.
Invite me. I don't know.
I mean, I named that one, but I don't name the other stupid one.
I say we should make one that makes sense for you. So, in your mind, how would you want to interact with somebody, and let's develop the app for it.
Is there like a social media
hemorrhoid
thing that
message
makes
board?
it? We'll get to the hemorrhoid update.
Okay,
All right,
okay.
just hold your horses.
Mm-hmm.
Not all at once.
No, my social media network would involve not having to talk to other people. So
Well, then that's
how
the
does that
complete
work?
Opposite
That's a
of a
good
social
question.
network.
But I mean, in reality, like, what is the cool next one? You're supposed to
What,
fill me in on these
let's
things.
try
I don't
to-
know.
Let's try to brainstorm.
Craig
I
David
think-
reference.
What's that?
Craig David reference.
What?
Fill me in.
I didn't know. Yeah, totally.
Craig David, spelled with 3 Ds. I don't know if you guys know that. It's at the end.
Never heard of them.
Actually, there's 3 Ds. There's 3 at the beginning of David and 3 at the end. So it's really strange. Looks like an echo.
Honestly, I would think, to answer your question, I like Medium.
Medium?
I think it's a really great up-and-coming app that's structured like a social profile, but instead of photos, you're sharing content
I think they've done a good
in terms
job.
of words.
Medium's done a good job of being the place to really write, like
Yeah.
good writing, like not just clickbait crap. And like it feels like they've done a good. I don't know how it works on like the kind of social climbing of authors on there, You know what I'm saying?
interesting.
Like
Only we had somebody who wrote.
We'll talk to him. We'll talk to. He's laying back in the cut, just thinking about rappers. He can rappers and R&B stars from the '90s.
That he can spell names up.
to throw in there.
Master PP.
But if y'all have social media, if you could create one, what would you want it? What would you want? Would you like? Let's do a little kind of think tank. Anything that you see a need for that would be good for social media? Hemorrhoid chat rooms for Eric.
I think incorporating not just, and it's, I mean, I guess Facebook has already basically done this, but a more streamlined, mobile friendly, because I feel still Facebook is a little glitchy, but
It's too much.
having a streamlined place that you can write, talk on the phone with people, video chat, just an all-inclusive space where you can express yourself in different facets, whether it be images, words, songs, just something that's all encompassed. Because you have SoundCloud, you have Spotify, you have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have Snapchat. They all have their key things, bringing those all together.
I believe there's one called Tablet that I just was messing around with last week, or Tablet. I can't remember. If one of y'all wants to look it up, that'd be great. But
Who, me?
anybody.
Oh.
But I think the icon
Tablet. That should narrow it down.
tablet app, social media. I think it was. I think I found it through Slack or Zapier because I like to look up apps that way. But it is like it's kind of that Pinterest meets Facebook a little bit. Where
Yeah.
here are the things I'm into right now. You have like a dashboard almost, like a business dashboard, except it's like, here are the books I like right now. Here's the music. Here's everything. Here are the podcasts I'm listening to. I mean, I diddled around with it. Probably a bad verb to use, but I played with it. Hold on.
Okay.
I molested it.
I
Shit,
masturbated with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did the trial on it. I wanted to see what it's about. Sometimes if you can catch these social media platforms when they're very young, you can get a lot of you can build these audiences just by being there first, you know? And on the business side, you can capitalize on that later down the line. But
Yeah. But I think that would be a fun thing. And if, you know,
I don't think Tablet's the name.
I don't either.
I
I
don't-
think it might be Tablet.
Taplet.
yeah,
That's different.
like Gregory Hines, tap dance, tablet.
A tap dancing social media platform.
Ooh. Or
So-
like a choreography based one.
What was the game show one?
Oh, HQ.
That-
Trivia.
That is, to me, that's the most interesting thing I've seen.
Dude, I
in
got
a
to
long
question 9 last
Have
night.
you heard of
It was
this,
the furthest
Dan?
I
I've
have
ever
heard of it.
gotten.
Eric, did I tell you? You heard about that, right?
No.
It's
Is this
ki-
the one where
just-
people are like drop everything that you're doing at 3 p.m.
Yep,
and like
3 and 9.
Yeah. Okay.
really smart. So
Oh yeah.
Really
You did tell me
smart.
that.
it
You're
is
Put
extracting
everything
your
on-
because
data.
it's right 3:00, right after school, right?
Yep.
True.
So it's that thing of like, it's just really interesting how it's interacting with so many people, but not really. It's almost like, it reminds me of stand-up in a way, because it's like the guy, the host, he's very engaging. It looks like he's having a conversation with you on your phone, but he's not. It's just, it's made to seem that way. It's masquerading as a conversation almost.
Yeah, and an advertisement too. All of this stuff that he's
product-
talking about is
product placement.
product placement.
The last one I saw was like, he was like, I was watching the Winter Olympics last night. The aerial coverage is amazing.
NBC.
I'm going to be watching that on NBC. Anyway, let's get to the next question. And you're like, oh my God, this is blatant product placement. But I
But it
think
works.
that's
People
what you have
like
to
it.
do.
It's like an interaction. It's like the old radio spots.
that is the most like integrated marketing thing I think that I've ever seen, because it is live, and when you can build an audience to stop everything they're doing nowadays, which everything's on demand, this is a live experience that everybody's sharing. It's almost like sports, right? Sports is the only thing that keeps these cable companies kind of alive.
Oh, let's not. That's a whole nother ball.
I know, but I'm saying like the only reason a lot of people have cable and not cut the cords is because the sports packages through that's a lot easier and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only reason most of the time.
And it's the only thing people watch live.
True.
Really.
And the Oscars.
No, but
No.
down 5 million or something crazy like that.
True.
So it's like, because you don't want to miss the game or see the bottom line number and all that stuff. Anyway, that's interesting. HQ. The other thing I saw, and I don't know how cool this is, there's I ran into it.
Probably not that cool.
Well, we're not really a nonprofit, but I feel like we give a lot of charity out. There's a site called Techsoup.org. I was looking for a discount code to upgrade our DocuSign app. And so I was like, man, I don't want to pay like $300 more.
Oh, is that how much they want to upcharge for the next level?
I don't know. I don't remember, but we've already paid $300 for annual, and it's worth it. I just haven't programmed it to be efficient for us. But I was like, oh, the pro version of this, the upsell version, it has forms that can do conditional logic for clients and stuff. It would save a fuckload of time and a lot of stress for me.
And me.
Because running contracts is the worst. It's the biggest time suck next to proposals.
Yep.
And so Sam and I are trying to work on streamlining that. If anybody has any advice, I want to use Dan's costing guy. He's got a go-to cost
your estimator. Was that Michael?
What? Oh, in BNI?
Yeah.
Or
whoever that estimator was, he was like, Dan's got this guy. I'm like, well, I talked to this guy, Michael. That was pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
So
straight from vaudeville.
yeah, he's 1890s Portlandia.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
One of the coolest people I've ever met.
Someone threw a math problem out in our networking group. He's in it, and he just like solved it in like kind of one of those guys, just like answers 339. Like
you're like,
what?
Hey, Rain Man.
Is that what you people do at these meetings? Let's do math problems.
Oh, well, mostly
Talk
geometry. It's not really arithmetic a lot
I'm
of
not
the
in
time.
it. You are.
Oh,
Yeah.
well then.
You sub enough to actually be in it.
So, because pricing, I think, is the hardest thing in business to figure out for a service business, because it's intangible a little bit. Whereas you have a product, you can add a certain percentage a lot of the time.
Service is guessing, essentially.
It is, but if you have a guy like that, like an ace in the hole, and I can't find anybody local that could do it because I don't want to do this over Upwork or anything, that's good. Anyway, back to TechSoup. It gave me a link to DocuSign, like an affiliate link, like gofreshbooks.com/sweat.
Sweat.
And sweat. And
One T.
I got the upgrade for free through that site. So I think you're supposed to be a nonprofit or a 501c3, but there's a lot of like linked discounts you can just get by going through that site, which I think helps that whole idea.
Yep.
So like QuickBooks is on there. What else? Oh, Adobe Creative Cloud.
We like that
very much. Microsoft Office. All the biggies are on there. So that's my pragmatic advice that I found deep like Saturday night, because that's what I do with my time.
Deep
Throatin'.
For the record, the taplet thing, the only thing I came across, it shows that it pulls HD images from iPhone, GoPro, Snapchat, or any other footage, record crystal clear and full screen videos. So
is that icon like a origami bird?
Yep. That's Food Head.
No, I messed that up. I'll look it up.
So
I'll look it up in a second.
We're here to help confuse you.
Look, man, we get this to the people,
Yeah, it is free, you people.
Yeah,
complaining.
We do this for the love of the game, and
up here doing the best we can.
Hey, if the audience shares this a little bit, we get some 5-star reviews, we get a little bit more money, and maybe we can relax a little bit, and I can prepare.
Maybe we'll give you the real names of the apps, but right now you got to figure it out on your own.
What the audience doesn't know is there's like always a scramble to get some fucking audio visual thing working for the hour before we get on.
I'm pretty sure they do know because we talk about it like every time.
Yeah,
we've been good. The last two have been seamless, knock on wood.
Shout out to Mevo for they hooked up the refurbished Mevo. They fixed our camera, which is great, and no trouble at all.
Nope.
Hey, they can use this video. Good job, 5 stars.
Good job, Mevo. Woo!
All
I like
right.
the white version.
Yeah, well, you didn't need to bring up race, but okay, whatever, Sam. It's not in these times. Okay,
really?
So Dan, it's good to have you back.
It's great to be back. I missed you guys.
Yeah,
missed you too.
I'm gonna call you out right in the beginning.
Eric especially.
Where's your podcast? What's going on? I'm gonna put this mic stand over here just so it's.
Before you get started, I'm sure you're gonna knock that glass of water onto your laptop.
All right, Dad.
You keep flinging your hands around all crazy.
Erratic.
I'm Italian.
You're welcome.
I married Italian, so all right. All right, you've been on a journey since you've last been on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to call you out at the beginning, though. Where's your podcast that you threw out there to be accountable? If you go back in the annals of
2 N's.
Sure. However you want.
He didn't mean it that way, though.
It's the good kind of annals. If you go back to the last episode Dan was on, probably we're at 102 is probably, I don't know, 80, episode number 80 or something.
Congrats.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
What's up? What's going on? You have this beautiful space to do it in.
Right. And I did ask you if you were free for lunch this week.
Yeah.
So that was step one. No, I'm actually it's part of I'm in a course right now, and one of our tasks is to put together like a community project, and I thought that would be kind of perfect for getting involvement with those around me. And really I want to gear it towards young adults, like essentially my guy's age, like 18 to 20, I don't know, 4, something like that.
So you run a college hauling junk and moving
Brothel.
What did I say? Hauling.
Brothel / franchise.
They are beautiful men.
Okay, yeah. One's a costing guru, but he's damn sexy.
You hit 25 and you are out.
Right.
Nasty.
Gross.
Yoshiwaras.
And so you're running that, but you've been into the, and not in I don't want this to sound like in a weird corny way or anything, because you say self-help stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that phrase triggers a lot of like either
A
people
resistant connotation.
most people are resistant, or people that are really into it are really into it. You know, like I like reading the stuff. I think it's just good.
There's not a lot of middle ground, and that's exactly what I would be aiming for, because I've noticed working with those guys at that age how often they take themselves out of the game, whether that be work or just life.
Yep.
With problems that are exacerbated by themselves, when just simple distinguishing and awareness can really be helpful, because I myself was the worst culprit.
Meaning, so like you were a young, like high school kid, kind of rudderless kind of thing.
Not high school, like all the way through my 20s.
Oh,
as
sure,
well.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm still like that.
yeah. Well, you know, it has. Look, 40 years ago, you had a mustache. You already went to Nam. You're back. Like, you know, like
Back for your 20th birthday.
yeah, we're in this kind of era where your adolescence kind of goes. When the health insurance goes to like 26
Exactly.
coverage, the government really is just like, yeah, man, yeah, we know you're not doing shit. You're not really contributing to society.
Yeah.
Like, and if you look at all that freakonomic stuff, like the other side of that is like, you know, what is it? 16 to 24-year-old boys are the ones that get arrested the most. And then once you kind of get arrested in that age time, like, the recidivism of coming back is crazy. So it's very highly likely. So if you can grab someone early and go like, oh, Dan was that guy and he got out of it. That's why I listened to him, or I'm talking to him or following what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I had a youth leader that is my best friend, but he was 5 years older than me, and he was like a little bit of an older brother, because he'd be the guy that we'd go out. And he'd be like, you know, when you talk to the waitress, don't say this. Like, you know, certain stuff like that.
Don't say what? What were you saying to these waitresses?
No, like look them in the eyes, kind of stuff. Like, my parents would tell me this too, but you need some guys that are a bit older to kind of be those like life mentors of sort.
True.
But he wasn't like, hey, look, etiquette is this. He'd be like, look, don't be a fucking weirdo. Look them in the eye. Don't look at your phone when you're ordering something. Like, oh yeah, shit like that. Small things, big things, but that's good. You want to do that. Because you had that experience, you want to do this.
Yeah, and I've kind of understood the framework that's necessary to really gain someone's listening or influence, because a lot of the resistance for things like self-help are because it's viewed as like education or like someone telling you what to do, which every human being hates that. And so with this platform and much of my writing, I'm calling myself out first, because the reality is no matter what you know, you're going to fuck up. Like, we're imperfect as human beings. We're always going to mess up. But by acknowledging that and telling one on yourself first, you kind of open the door and create a space for people to be like, oh, you know what? Here's what I'm dealing with, you know? And it's less of this comparison game that pushes people to be perfect or put on the mask or put on a front that everything's clear and, you know.
The FOMO PR part of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the social media version of you is not you.
The filter.
Yeah. I go Hefe, sometimes natural. But yeah, the filter. It's an Instagram
I didn't
joke,
get
guys.
it right away.
But that filter to look. I mean, we just did an. I feel like you're trolling our episodes because I just saw some of the latest posts, and we talked about fake it till you make it, and then I just saw one you posted.
Oh, yeah.
That.
Oh, I'm
like,
not. Yeah, I didn't. That's unintentional.
No,
Yeah.
it's just it's definitely my like. Eric and I.
Egotistical.
Well, we also think it's synchronicity stuff. Like, it's weird. We do think there is kind of.
Oh, we always have weird shit going on, like weird happenings that match up all the time. It's so weird. But
Yeah, but I mean,
anyway.
sometimes it's that, sometimes it's coincidence. I mean, it's not like that's a subject we haven't talked about a lot off air.
Right.
And so the blog post, I haven't read the latest couple, but it's really interesting that you're putting that vulnerability out there. You started writing probably pretty heavily, 2 months?
January 23rd.
Yeah.
First one.
So 3 months ago, and I think that's really cool. I think that's really interesting because a lot of people wouldn't be vulnerable like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'll be seen as like soft or weak or mentally, kind of mushy
Right.
a little bit. And I actually think it's the long term, it's the other way.
I was just going to say, I feel like it's the opposite.
Yeah, the ability to express what's going on and to be altruistic in a way to try to have this as a vehicle to help other kids that may be going through it is that is the strong.
that's what a real man is.
Yeah.
Not afraid to show it.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Did you do it to starting out to help yourself first, sort of thing? I do a lot of like, I'll write stuff just because I just got to get this out,
Right.
sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Did you go into it hoping to help people right away, or was it just
Purely therapeutic.
Yeah.
100%. And it was more of you've got to kind of own what owns you first. And so by putting it out there, and it helps if you're sharing. If you're just writing it down just for yourself, one of those things, you write a letter and then you tear it up, that may help, but you could take it a step further and really like expose this real life problem. And by doing that, you're taking ownership of it. If you own something, you control it.
Yeah.
Whereas before, if you're just constantly hiding, what you resist persists, and you're not, it's going to be something that you're dealing with consistently.
Yeah.
That impacts your life.
I'm constantly trying to get everything out in front of me, if that makes sense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you got all these like lingering projects that go by. You have like one little thing here that you got to finish up, but you can't do it right away because you got to, and all that stuff. And it's like so hard, especially with kids and all the stuff going on, to just get it in front of you. You can look at it all from a 30,000-foot view and address it then, but it's really hard to remember everything, really, I guess.
Yeah, it was, for me, just growing up and identifying as a perfectionist is just that was a death sentence, because this constant need for certainty to actually feel a sense of control and relief was, when do you actually have everything done, all your loose ends tied up?
Right.
Never. There's
Never.
always something, especially running a business, there's always something left undone. And until you get comfortable with uncertainty and get comfortable with things being incomplete and telling yourself, I have an action plan that I'm going to take to address it, and you can kind of just ease the mind a little bit and then chill out. And because the reality is, as long as you're concerned about something that you haven't done, you're missing every moment in front of you.
Right.
And you're taking away and lessening the experience of who you're with,
Yeah.
which I was doing all the time.
Yeah, tons of people. That's a big thing. old man talk with the phones,
Sure.
like be here now sort of thing.
Oh no, I mean we've talked about it on the podcast recently. It's like at home, my head was elsewhere. That mental space was taken up by other things that, when you really break it down, probably not. It's just anxiousness and the fear of the unknown ahead of you. But I was missing literally sitting with my kid, and like I should be trying to enjoy the time and like really observing what's going on with him, because that's what a good parent would do. But I'd be like, I'll put these earbuds in while I'm playing with him, just so I'm around, but I have to listen to this meeting I just did because I don't remember it. My head was already thinking about another thing. That headspace stuff. Where have you? I guess actually, I want to go back. Backward to kind of writing could be cathartic, and I feel like what Eric was saying, get it ahead of you or try to just get it out. I think a lot of it is when you make this goal to publicly have something out there, like we do with this podcast or any content that is personal. I feel like it helps you articulate what you can't, and you're actually spending time to figure that out. Whereas a lot of the time it could just eat at you like kind of a outbreak monkey virus in your brain.
Right.
Like it could just chew at you for a while. Have you found that to be the most helpful tool to kind of get you to articulate this stuff, or compartmentalize this road?
Yeah, and I mean even compartmentalization. That was a big go-to of mine for a lot of years. But then all it was just stuffing something I should be facing, which is typically something I didn't want to do, some type of discomfort, and putting it away like in a closet, and then at the most inopportune time that rears its ugly head, and then all of a sudden we're falling apart again. But I think again, letting whatever comes out just be, that it is what it is. It's as if you like it, that's at least one person. So at the very least, even if no one likes it, if you like it, if you get something from it, if you reinforce something that you learn, because that's one of the biggest things for me is I'll write about experiences from the day to day, whether it be business or life, and putting it out there on words. That's going right back into the unconscious mind as something that's really just drilled down there. And but most of the time, I mean, people can relate. You want to talk from a space of resonance or whatever that they may be
from experience, from
just something that speaks to people, something that's a general type of issue.
Yeah, and that's why I'll keep pushing you for the podcast, because I think what would be interesting is that you're going through the kind of a transformation, it seems, of sorts. Like, because the first blog post you put out there in this kind of journey was, I was what was the title? Because I was about to say
My act.
I was a fake jabroni.
Yeah,
that wasn't what it was, but I remember I was like, wow,
full of shit.
Yeah, I mean, we all are full of shit, though. That's the other thing too. I wanted to be like, hey, this is really. I think I texted you. These are really good, but
you did.
I wanted to be
that
like,
meant a lot, actually.
I wanted to be like, we're all full of shit,
right?
That is a sidestep to the fake it till you make it a little bit. You don't have to tell everybody everything, right? But I feel like there is a lot of things where you're not sitting down and maybe taking an hour a week just to reflect.
Right.
And just try to go, why am I so angry or anxious or
what even am I?
Right.
Am I angry, or am I just frustrated with something, or whatever?
Right.
Real
people
questions.
don't know. No, people don't know. Like, some people just go to anger, or like what they go to their go-to emotion if there's any sort of adversity, and it's like, well, maybe that's not what you are. Are you actually angry, or are you just, concerned about the future with something,
That's huge right there, is because I've noticed there's this insatiable need to stay consistent with who we think we are. And so everything that unfolds tends to just get pushed to this one, linear channel that's not at all what the hell's going on. And it limits you, because then you're fixed. Your personality's fixed. It's not fluid. And then who you are is, all right, this is it. You're stuck. you're fucked. You know, if you don't like it, your life's over. And this is why people end it, because they don't feel like they can actually do anything to shift, you know, how they appear or convey or just deal with shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I get frustrated. A lot of people want to put you in a bucket, like you're just saying, personality-wise. And people are a lot... there's a lot more gray area to people's personalities, right?
It's all gray. I mean, you know.
Like my pubes, my 3 gray pubes.
It's still at 3. Yeah. You go to 3 every time.
50 shades of 3 gray pubes. And so my thing is, look, we got too serious, so I had to throw in a couple dick jokes in there. So my thing is, what I get frustrated with is that I work on not doing this as perception to people I meet, but they'll say, in the business world especially, I am the CFO of blah, blah, blah. And you go, immediately your brain goes, all right, this guy's a tight ass, this guy's perfectionist, this guy is probably loves like playing golf. Like I'm sizing him up and stuff. And most people are a lot more gray area than that. Now, you can profile a bit because people do things.
Yeah, people are complex.
But yeah, but he's not every CFO is that guy. You
right.
know, like not every. Trying to think of another example recently.
Did you ever have the guy that's like, "Hi, I'm this guy. What do you do?"
Oh yeah.
First thing, I've seen people where they go person to person. "Hi, I'm this guy. What do you do?" Okay, what
social
down the
commerce.
line? It's like, oh my god, that's what you boil everybody down to. It's so weird.
Probably a salesperson, right? Because they're like,
it was a dentist, but
yeah,
he was successful, I think.
Yeah, maybe he's good marketer, brander.
Okay, I'll never see that guy again. Fucking.
Well, you're gonna get his flag.
I remember being so annoyed, just like boiling when I heard, like as I watched before it was my turn to introduce myself. You know.
That's why small talk sucks too.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say a lot of people revert to those very socially acceptable templates of how to interact with somebody in the beginning because they really don't know how to interact with anybody or read the type of person that they are so that they can figure out how to interact with them.
Yeah, they didn't take an improv class like I did.
It's kind of lazy, you know?
Or it's just like social, like, it's an anxiety and self-doubt almost.
Yeah, my old football coach used to always say, like, try to ask more questions about them than about talk about yourself.
You never want to talk about yourself. Always put it on the other person.
That's one of those things, taking a page out of Dan's book, kind of sitting there and thinking and writing a little bit more, but not publicly writing anything. Just if I get in a fight or argument that I'm really frustrated, I'll write it out because somehow that helps. I don't know why.
This is more of taking that control a little bit, but
no, but you get in a fight, you're like, yeah, but you're bullshit too, man. Like, and you can't even like say.
You just want to get all your zingers down on paper.
Well,
you're the one who. Damn it! I should have said that.
Well, I also have like kind of a lawyer's brain in the sense that I want to make sure I'm very specific if I'm in a real argument with someone that like this happened on this date, this happened here, this is what you said. You may have heard that in a different way, or thought you said it this way. I heard it this way. I understand I may be wrong, kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know, because that's why like witnesses are terrible. Like eyewitness accounts are not reliable at all.
Yeah, I don't have. I'd have to talk to my dad about that with the whole legal component of it. Well, but you did something there by just what you said is you took some form of responsibility.
Yeah,
which is everybody avoids that like the plague, and it's constantly putting it on somebody else what took place, and if it's somebody else's deal that affects you, you can't change somebody else. So now you're waiting around what could be never for somebody to apologize or somebody to do this or do that or fulfill some expectations that you created, not with any agreement from them either, you know, knowing that people are imperfect. And then it's just this big old cyclical fucking thing. And this, I mean, divorces, this is probably one of the bigger things is just no one's taking responsibility. Anything that goes wrong, you're somewhat of cause in the matter. And so a different approach to where, you got in an argument with somebody and, oh, you know what, you made me feel this way or blah, 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 blah. Instead of that, it's, hey, you know what, can we talk about this because I'm struggling with something. I'm struggling with it. I'm struggling with something that was said that I then assigned meaning to it meant this, or this. I know that probably wasn't your intent, but can we just talk about that so I can get some clarity and some peace on that? That's a very different approach and more healthy approach to actually addressing something that's eating at you versus continually making the other person wrong.
Yeah, and I try not to do any 2 points. One thing, try not to make it visceral, right? Try not to get emotion in the way of what's going on. I try, and if
don't raise your voice.
Well, it's very difficult to separate emotion from.
I actually go the opposite a lot of the time. I just kind of just well, I always
whisper fight.
I fucking wait till they see my baby did, baby. The whisper song, yeah. What I try to do is I always think of that quote, like, whoever raises their voice in an argument already lost, right? Yeah. And typically it's not that big of a deal. I only really lose my shit if I'm like physically just exhausted and repeating something. And sometimes you got to yell at some people because they may not hear you. That just honestly, sometimes it's just that with the personality of who you're talking to. Because if you're just too quiet, they think you're timid or soft. Mm-hmm. And I'll give it about 3 goes around that.
But that's true, though. We're sitting here talking about how don't raise your voice, don't do this. And it's like, all right, well, maybe some people do need to have that happen to them because they don't listen.
And take blame. Take blame like a head coach, a head football coach. That's how I always see management style for projects or anything. Right before we started this, I was telling Sam, like, I feel like a bag of shit with this one client because administratively, we don't look like we ever shit together, and that's on me. But I want to try to kind of figure this out. We're going to work it and make sure we don't look like this again.
Like that.
But I always and I honestly visualize like the mic with the head coach after the game doing that.
That's why we have so many microphones.
That's why we lost. Yeah, we just need the backdrop with the logos on the back.
Pepsi, sponsored by Pepsi.
Yeah, because I feel like you have to, if you want to be a leader, you have to kind of do that way and lead by example and lead by admitting failure.
Yep.
And know what you don't know and delegating correctly and all that stuff. But sometimes you can blame a situation on other things. But what you're saying is most people need to go more of the take it on the chin.
Just creates some more sense of freedom, because if you take responsibility for it, that means that you can change it, and what isn't stuck as what's so.
You're the variable in all these shitty things.
Yeah.
You're the constant.
Yeah. So you can impact it. So things can get better, and that gives people hope. Versus if it's on somebody else and they can't change it, then that's where hopelessness ensues.
Yeah.
I feel like it's all goes back to control. Like the word control has come up 5 times.
Yeah.
And it's like that's what everybody's looking for. They feel depressed because they feel out of control of their lives, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they don't know how to get it in control. I feel like sometimes, right? Like you can spiral down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know. Yeah, it's a very degree of control, but some people don't know what they want as far as control too. You know what? Just I'm trying to think of like a codependency part of that. You know.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
Some people like that. You know.
Yeah. Oh, there's lots of things I don't want to be in control of.
Like scratching my own back.
Yeah, like
I like my wife's nails.
I bought robot massagers for that.
Yeah, just like
Not
certainty,
dildos.
there's an uncertainty
Could be
that's
dildos,
got to
actually.
take place too, because that just gives us variety.
Like a bed of dildos? Sorry. What'd you say?
That would actually probably for your back feel decent.
I would think so.
Like the coffin with a bunch of spikes, but it said spikes. Dildos.
I'll tap into my
Go Zen.
personal training background and address the rest on dildos and the spinal benefits.
Wow. Yeah.
Next
We're getting
article.
deep. We're getting real deep. So, how much time we got left?
Left?
Oh, okay. We got 10 minutes till I got.
You got to be out the door.
You
Oh,
guys
boy.
you guys can keep this going while I hard out of here. Tell us a little bit more. How? So since you've been starting this kind of I'll call it get your shit together kind of plan, for lack of a better term. You probably have something better.
Self-discovery tour.
Live. What was it? Live Thrive.
Arrive
What was
Alive.
the title of the podcast you were kicking to me? And I was like, we can beat that.
Oh, we're dropping that. Yeah, we're dropping that.
But
We're
what
gonna
was
go
it?
something else.
Yeah.
Strive to Thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a working title.
Working title.
You put it at the leaderboard on the clubhouse.
I like woke. Just like you wake up,
that'll get the youngins.
That's what I'm saying.
Gonna
It's
get
targeted
some,
at the
higher
young.
But if you're trying to hit that
consciousness.
meaty middle of not coming across like a douche,
Ooh.
woke, to me, seems a little douchey.
Well, yeah, we may have to make a subtitle to this podcast eventually if we're doing we're growing and scaling this whole
Brand.
pragmatic business idea, and we were trying to think of stuff like because we want our demo's really millennial age, and we're kind of at the upper crust of that personally, but like we don't want to like be like, this podcast is lit. Like we don't want
Right.
to like have something.
We're definitely not cool.
Twerking.
Yeah.
Twerking for the weekends or something. Like we don't want to do something that just seems out of our personal kind of.
Values or character.
No, yeah. I think the one to beat is Sweat Equity, branding, and Ray J.
Okay.
You guys remember Brandy?
Yep.
Oh.
Throwing it back. How
Yeah.
do you not know?
Where's our cricket sound effect?
Oh, I'll go get it. I think it's behind you.
I
Actually.
got it, but I read it earlier, so I think it's funny. But
I was trying to prove how uncool I was. See?
You're
but
terrifying.
We're
Yeah.
trying to go
Nailed
like
it.
what's in that wheelhouse, but not. I like woke if it's something you say in real conversation and you think it's something that will stick around as far as a term. But I feel like I was like, we got to put something about your brand or hard work or work ethic, some play on that, which that's where we're going.
However, it speaks to the audience really,
Right,
because
right.
you got to get listeners before anything.
Well, I also think we have a lot of. We don't want older gents and ladies to
Shy
get
away.
out.
Yeah.
So we're kind of making it a little bit more broad. Hence why this is Sweat Equity. I wanted to
Love
be
it.
a broad business term
Jealous.
that most people know, they've heard of, but may not know exactly, but they know it's a phrase kind of thing. But on this journey, are you going to do like a serialized kind of thing? Are these blog posts kind of? Are you going to do like, hey, I'm going to write 12 and then I'm going to come back and write another 12, or are you just doing it as it goes?
No, I'm doing it. I'm writing pretty much every day. So whether it gets published that day or not, and then a lot of these publications, like if you want to get on Addicted to Success or Inc. or Entrepreneur or something like that, they're going to take their time in responding and publishing to you. So you got to create something every day, which is what I'm aiming to do. I don't always do it, but then I've gotten away from beating myself up if I don't do it, because that was a product of my old way of being that I want to drop because it didn't do me any favors. But ultimately, it's working its way up. So eventually, I want to do a book, and then just for the sake of, this is something I never thought that I could do.
Right.
The last time I wrote anything was in 2010 in English and composition that I got a C in. And so I'm not a writer by any means.
You got to read the book.
I don't know.
You got to read Great Gatsby before you do that book report. So yeah.
I read it. I read your last blog post. I thought you sounded like a writer
Yeah, I was
in
gonna
my
say,
head.
you
Lots
Thank
of
you.
good words in there.
articulate yourself very
Good
well.
words in there.
He's an thesaurus.
Structure is good.
Yeah, I tried to write something the other day, like for public push, and it was like, oh man, I don't know structure, sentence structure, like texting has ruined all of like.
Medium's really good because a lot of the top writers on there, it's just such a conversational tone that it's just easy it flows. And a lot of the top ones on there they've leveraged that to get their own, like there's a guy, Ben Hardy, who was, one of the top writers in the past few years, and he just got a $250,000 book deal that he just released, and that was like
Wow.
all from starting at Medium.
But the goal isn't to. I mean, the goal that's a secondary goal to the mission of just.
That's a byproduct. Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about. It'd be interesting if we could take all the episodes we've done. If you got someone to like an editor to take little nuggets and make an ebook of the pragmatic advice
Yeah.
you've got.
Yeah.
We've heard that's why we got Dragon Dictate, because we can drop the file in and it'll transcribe the episodes. We only really use it for SEO purposes now. But if we did it correctly or had more of a team, they could parse some of that out. And I've heard people buy the business podcast for like $15 an episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because older crowd wants to read it. They don't.
Yeah.
They're like pod fart what?
Print this out and put it in my newspaper. So Dan, before we have to go, give me some advice. How do I turn my shit around? What would you do? Something everybody could do to
like one
an
small
easy
nugget
thing
of improvement.
Something.
One Tampa nug.
Or something you've done.
Probably one of the most impactful things was just stopping, labeling everything as either good or bad or right or wrong or win or lose or agree or disagree. Like, the reality is, like you said, the personality is very gray. Life is very gray. It's not always black and white. And again, by throwing a label on it that this scenario is good or this situation is bad, you're putting yourself in a box. And we don't like being stuck. We don't, one of my biggest fears is like just being in a straitjacket. That's just like freaks me out, not having that freedom there. So like we do it with our language too. And whether or not we realize it is like, oh, I just said it, that doesn't mean anything. Well, your unconscious mind is still hearing you, and it's processing, and then eventually that's going to turn back into a thought that pops up in your head later on that will seem very real. And it's not always good or bad. It's not always right or wrong, and it just is. Whatever it is. I think Einstein said, "He who can distinguish what is for what it is a genius." To where if you're feeling a certain way or you're thinking something kind of fucked up, you just tell yourself that's a thought. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I'm having a feeling. Okay. Now what?
So don't be hard on yourself and quit judging situations.
Don't be too hard, right?
Yeah, well,
because that has like a percentage to it too.
Yeah.
And don't be absolute, even about absolutism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whatever that's called.
Even within itself. Yeah, just keep your mind open. Yeah, be willing to let go of some beliefs that you have that may not serve you, and you might not be aware of it. It might be a blind spot.
Moderation in everything, including moderation. The Oscar Wilde quote I probably butchered, but you get the idea.
Strong opinions weakly held.
Okay.
Ooh.
All
Thinker.
Right.
That's good too.
We didn't even get to the nutrition stuff. We wanted to ask you.
It's okay.
Well, I mean,
have them back.
Save it for next time.
Yeah, we'll keep you. We'll get you back on.
Nutrition's key. So that's a whole nother podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, Dan and I, we could probably do an hour if you're into it.
I'm down.
I talk about stuff all day if I want.
That's the wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Wim Hof and.
Oh, I got so much stupid stuff to talk about.
Well,
am I supposed to be filibustering right now as you diddle with your computer?
Yeah. Wait. This is your best.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on, y'all.
Oh.
And
ready, break.
We'll have you back on Talk Nutrition. Sam's gonna come back on in near future. Give us some social media.
Yeah, we'll actually plan something out.
We're on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook page, Booger Pod, Vero, Medium, HQ, Buffer, Hootsuite, Co-scheduling,
Taplet with a Q.
Taplet, Techsoup.org, and GoFreshBooks.com/sweat. You can
maybe I don't want to.
Okay.
All right.
Let's just make
Bye,
it
everybody.